Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Beau. Hope you guys are well. I am back in the studio doing my devotions now that I'm back from New England. And it's good to be back in the desert, but boy, do I miss that cold. I mean, there's nothing like 5-degree weather, you know? There's nothing like that 0-degree weather. It's super nice. Anyway, my mom's birthday was yesterday, February 10th, and she would have turned, I think, 77, 70, something like that, 76, 77. But anyway, mom is now no longer on this planet. Certainly hope for a better, right? And that hope, where are you going to hope? Where are you going to find your hope? Well, we find it in the Lord. And so let me put on a hat today as we get ready for James chapter 2. So James is a really good book. It's a practical book, as you guys probably have figured out already. A lot of really good stuff, but a lot of good focus, you know, just focusing our attention in a particular direction. So everybody's got a focus today. Everybody's got a thing that they're looking at, what they're doing, what their goals are, what is the thing that they behold, what is the thing that they're kind of riveted on. And so James is telling us a little bit about where to direct our focus. So this is the Morning Devo with me, Beau Willette. Beau Willette is a French-Canadian name. You could always check out the archives at my YouTube channel at Beau Willette. It's there in the top right, that direction. Go there. So that BeauUellette. And it is kind of family week. So I had a wonderful picture of a friend yesterday. I have another picture of a friend, but a precious friend, a daughter, there on the right as well. So just love that picture of her and I. And so let's get into it. James chapter 1. Oh man, Tina. Sorry to hear that you're catching, kind of trying to get over a cold. By the way, how was Flagstaff? That's what I want to know. How was Flagstaff? They're supposed to get some snow next week, and so super stoked. I don't know if you guys woke up today early in the morning to watch the Olympic mogul skiing of women mogul skiing. Congratulations to the two Americans that won, I think, gold and silver. But I grew up skiing moguls, and I still ski moguls today. That is kind of my, if you will, that's my forte of skiing, is the kind of skiing I do, is what they call bump skiing. And so I love it. I'm still able to do it. Very thankful for it. And anyway, so it's fun. Winter Olympics have always been really fun for me. Obviously, hockey, skiing, very cool. Okay, so let's get into it. It says here, my dear brothers and sisters, how can you claim to have faith in our glorious Lord Jesus the Messiah if you favor some people over others? So it's kind of going to talk a little bit about our actions here, obviously. For example, suppose someone comes into your meeting dressed in fancy clothes and expensive jewelry. By the way, the church is called the meeting. Now, this is cool because in the Old Testament, when we read the Bible, when we just read through it, the whole idea is that human beings have been separated from the deity, and that's why the world is the way it is. Something's wrong, and that wrong is a rebellion has taken place, you know, a rebellion from the King, the true and living God. And so there's this disruption, and then there's this these moments of reconciliation that are taking place to bridge the gap between a holy God who has separated himself from sin or sinfulness or decay, if you will, and a group of unrighteous human beings. There's a separation from that, and there's going to be a bridging, a reconciliation of the earth and heaven. And one of the interesting things is the tabernacle, this interesting place that's instructed by Moses to be put up for the people of Israel to actually have a place of meeting. Isn't that interesting? Meeting with God. And so when we come together as a body of believers, a church, actually we're doing a meeting. Isn't that cool? Now, I grew up going to AA meetings, Alateen meetings, AA meetings, Al-Anon meetings, those kinds of meetings. And so I'm familiar with a lot of meetings. And boy, I'm now familiar with a lot of church meetings as well. But man, really important to have a place of meeting, right? So suppose someone comes into your meeting dressed in fancy clothes and expensive jewelry. Hey, how well dressed are you? Do you want everybody to conform to the way that you dress? Is that what you think is good? It's interesting when we start thinking about this, right? What one person considers this nice, another person might consider, rich snobby, and that's something I have to fight all the time, all the time. The way people dress sometimes reflects a status that we can be judgmental of. Now, James tells us that if someone comes in with all these wealthy clothes and jewelry, so there's a real over-the-top experience going on here. And if you don't understand Roman culture, man, you really got to read some history books on Rome. The amount of money some women spent on luxury items is unbelievable. The amount of time they spent on decorating their bodies was unbelievable. You think today's crazy? You read history and you go, man, nothing is new under the sun. And it says, and another comes in who is poor and dressed in dirty clothes. If you give special attention and good seat to the rich person, but you say to the poor one, you could stand over there or else sit on the floor, well, doesn't this discrimination show that your judgments are guided by evil motives? Ooh, it shows your motives. Why do you say what you say? Why do you say, I need you guys to look like this, or I need you to look like that, or I need to... What is going on in the real motivation there? And that's something when we drill down, we sometimes find, not all the time, but sometimes we find that we're prejudiced. Prejudice? No way. Well, James says, oh, man, you got to check your motives. Hey, guy with nice clothes, you sit here. Guy with dirty clothes, you smell bad, you sit over there. Dirty clothes kind of stink. And if you hang out with someone who's not smelling well, it can be a real challenge for sure. Sometimes my prayers have been in ministry times and just hanging out with people is just, God, take care of my sense of smell. So that doesn't restrict me from loving and engaging. Yeah, a lot of times we want to minister, but we want to minister and smell what we like to smell. We don't want to minister around people who maybe smell a little different. Yeah, so we can see our motives can be wrong. What is my motivation this morning, really? Why do I not like the way people look, really? When I say that that's not nice, what do I mean by that? Like nice like you? Then you start, oh, I see, See, you might be hanging out with someone who's richer than you, who looks at you and goes, man, you're disgusting. And then they might be hanging out with someone who's richer than them, and they think they're disgusting. Oh, man, on and on and on it goes, right? Listen to me, dear brothers and sisters. Hasn't God chosen the poor in this world to be rich in faith? Poor in this world. Rich in faith. You think the rich dig you? Let's see what James has to say, right? And this is really the Holy Spirit speaking through this man to help us understand our motivations, to understand that, boy, do we need to fix our eyes on Jesus. We get off Jesus a little bit, man, and we get right back into wrong judgments. And it says, aren't they the ones who will inherit the kingdom he promised to those who love him? He's talking about the poor, the needy. And it says, and you dishonor the poor. Isn't the rich who oppress you and drag you into court? Aren't they the ones who slander Jesus, the Messiah, whose noble name you bear? The noble name of Jesus. Man, that's a cool translation. And I bear that name. And then there's wealthy people who don't care about, you Christian. They don't care. They're running the world, man. They're running their thing. They think they got it all together. They think everything's great. They think, hey, they're doing great. Look at where they live. Look at the nice things. Oh, why do you live where you're at? Because it's so nice. Right? Everything's so controlled in your life. That's what you're calling nice, is all this control and all this, man, it looks great, aesthetics. Everything looks so great, and boy, and James gets us on this track of like, don't you realize that these kinds of people aren't really for the message of the Messiah? Because the message of the Messiah is all of your riches amounts to Zippo. And that's what he got to in the first chapter a little bit, right? When it comes to salvation, when it comes to the kingdom of heaven, man, all your beautiful whatever you got isn't going to help you get in. And he says, so why are you doing this? Why are you trying to appease wealthy people? Those people that I'm afraid that if I don't conform to their image, that, there'll be a consequence, that we won't get whatever, the appeasing, right? The trying to get on the right page of other people, to try to get into good favor with other people. Why am I trying to get in good favor with them? When I was a kid, I tried to get in good favor with my groups, the people that I hung out with. But what was really underneath it? What was really the motivation? Was it loneliness? Was it discontentment? Was it fear? Scared? What was really the motivations for us getting into the groups that we're in? Yeah, you could see how really James is hitting on some of our motivations. And he sees a real contrary kind of action that's going on in the early days in the church. And that there is this prejudice that's starting to sink in, these motivations. The way people are being treated is kind of contingent on their ability to give you something. If someone's able to give me something, I will love them. If they're not able to give me something, I will not treat them so nice. Does that sound like our world? That we tend to treat people who treat us good better, like everybody's a waiter. The waiter treats you good, you tip them well. The waiter treats you bad, you don't tip them, kind of thing. And that's how you see everything. Is, I'll love you, but you gotta scratch my back. Yes, indeed, it is good. But what about people who can't scratch your back, right? Right? What about children? What about people that can't scratch your back? Can't give you the perk? I know this person and they're going to do this. Oh, I know this person and they're going to do that. Oh, I know this person. See, the people who have the ability to give you the perks, and you can see where we just go, oh, man, do I fail? Oh, man, do I buy into this direction? I go in this direction. Oh, so gnarly. And it says, yes, indeed, it is good when you obey the royal law as found in the scriptures. Okay, let's see what the royal law is. Love your neighbor as yourself. Whoa, let's just fix our mind on that. And I love James, really practical, just telling us what to do today. Love our neighbor as myself. If you favor some people over others, you are committing sin. You are guilty of breaking the law. Okay. So the question is are you guilty of breaking the law? It's a question. Are you guilty of breaking the law? Have you loved your neighbor as yourself really? Really? And that's, man, something I think about every day. Gosh, and the answer is always no. No. I need a work of God to do something in me, to get me out of the way, to get my focus off of home, cars, blah, 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 blah. That's all going to burn, and get it focused on a kingdom that is coming. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And it says, for the person who keeps all the law except one is as guilty as a person who has broken all of God's laws. Everybody. For the same God who said you must not commit adultery also said you must not murder. So if you murder someone, but you don't commit adultery, you have still broken the law. Now this is cool because everybody has an issue. You might say, oh, well, I don't commit adultery. Oh, yeah? Where does your lust hit? It might not be in sexual things, but it might be in other type of things. Meaning your lust will hit lust of reputation, right? Lust of status, lust of security. I mean, it can go on, man. You have desires in all kinds of directions, covetousness. And you just go, whoa, well, I thought I was good, man. I didn't murder anybody. I mean, hey, and that's how we are in this world, right? Oh, man, I'm so good. Look at me. Look how great I am. And you're blind to the other thing. So James says, man, oh, man. So whatever you say or whatever you do, remember that you will be judged by the law that sets you free. There will be no mercy for those who have not shown mercy to others. But if you have been merciful, God will be merciful when he judges you. So remember, you're going to be judged. The old judge, the old J word, right? By the law that sets you free. Ooh, I love that. A law that can set me free. Boy, I need that law. One that can set me free from what? The judgment. From a God who's going to judge sin. And it says, for there will be no mercy to the one who has shown no mercy, right? Blessed are the merciful. You could see where James is getting a lot of his stuff from. And it says, if you don't want to be merciful, then obviously no mercy will be shown to you either. But if you have been merciful, God will be merciful when he judges you. So if that's true, that God's going to judge, and I'm going to be under the judgment as well, then what should my judgment be like? How should I be thinking of other people today? How should I be loving my neighbor as myself? Man, one thing is a lot of mercy. Mercy should be really the lens to which I really want to look at people through. What good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith, but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anybody? Suppose you see a brother or sister who has food or clothing and you say, goodbye, you have a good day, stay warm and well eat, but then you don't give the person any food or clothing. What good does it do it? You can't just have faith, that, hey, working out at a gym is going to help you out. You can have faith that, hey, yeah, the gym exists, the weights exist, the treadmill exists, but if you don't put action by getting up and going to the gym and doing it, there really is no effect, right? There is an effectual kind of faith. There is a faith that has an effect, and it moves us, right? It moves us to salvation. It moves us to being saved. It moves us to that place of action, moving forward, taking a step, stepping out, this kind of idea. So you see, faith by itself is not enough. You can't just believe something exists, right? Oh, I have faith that, yeah, the gym exists. Sure, but unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. Unless you get up and go, man, you ain't going to see the effectual work of what that treadmill could do, or what the weights could do to your body, or those kind of things. there needs to be an action that's associated with right faith, true faith, we could say. So now someone may argue some people have faith and others have good deeds. Hey, some people hit the gym all the time, but other people, they have faith. I mean, they really believe that going to the gym will help them, but they just don't go, And what does he say? He says, but I say, how can you show me your faith if you don't have good deeds? I will show you my faith by my good deeds. So this is just, it's kind of not a hard argument or anything like that. We all grew up as kids. In order to do something, you had to go do it. You couldn't just sit and do nothing and expect to be a good football player, a good basketball player, a good skateboarder. I was never a great skateboarder. I just got on a skateboard and skated. I remember in my first grade, or my first band in elementary school, we had a big half pipe in the drummer's backyard. Hey, Charlie Warnick, man, that was awesome. And, but I never wanted to go down a half pipe. Why? Because I was a little fearful. And man, I didn't want to break my hand. I was a guitar player. I loved guitar, things like that. But there was other dudes that ripped. I might have faith that, that it exists. The half pipe exists. Of course, I see it. I have faith in it. But there was no action to it. You gotta have some action. And so it's something we grow up knowing. You gotta put faith to it. You gotta get up and go. You gotta take a step forward. And he says, you say you have faith for you believe that there is one God, good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in terror. How foolish. Can't you see that faith without good deeds is useless? Man, dude, even demons believe in God. So even if you say, hey, I just believe in God, well, that's great. But, a lot of entities, I guess, believe in God. And so that doesn't really mean much. But, what is the action that's happening? What is going on in your life? And that is a big question that we need to think about and ask all the time. What is the steps of faith that I'm doing? Am I learning how to lose my life in this world? To sell, to give, right? To move away from what Beau wants. Oh, I want to live here. I want to live there. I want to live in luxury here. I want to live in there. Oh, this is the best place for me. Well, what is the best place for my children? What is the best place for my wife? What is the best place for my fellowship? Where will it bless them for me to live? Not where I want to live. What blesses them? What is going to bless the collective? The body, Christ, Jesus, the head of the church. Those kind of things go through our mind. The effectual work of faith in our life. And he says, don't you remember that our ancestor Abraham was shown to be right with God by his actions when he offered his son Isaac on the altar? A guy who, man, was probably living pretty cool, but God told him to move, to go, right? And he went. And then God said, you know what? Take your son Isaac and put him on the altar. And it says, you see, his faith and his actions work together. His actions made his faith complete. And so it happened just as the scriptures say. Abraham believed God, and God counted him as righteous because of his faith. He was even called the friend of God. So you see, we are shown to be right with God by what we do, not by faith alone. When we say faith alone, we just have to define what we mean by faith alone. Like when we say I'm saved by faith alone, yeah, that is true. But what do we mean? What kind of faith are we talking about? That's what James is getting at. Abraham didn't have a home on this planet that he went, man, this is the best thing ever. Boy, look at my this, look at my that, look at this, look at that. Oh man, I got such a great, I live on a lake. Hey, I live over here. He was on the move. He was on the move. Where does God want me to go? What does God want me to do? What is it? It was so God focused that even when God wanted to display to the world a revelation of how we would be saved one day through the Messiah by his sacrifice, he chose to show Abraham through this picture of him offering his son, his one and only begotten son. The one in whom he loved, it says. He did it. He moved. He took that kid, that teenager, whatever age he was, and he laid that kid, said, you know what? We got to go this direction. God's going to find a way. God's going to move us through it, but we got to take a step in it, you know? And boy, that's so true. I got to take a step in it today in order to get out of it. You know, and that means even death. I'm going to have to take a step into death in order to get out of it. And that's going to take faith. Faith that I know Jesus has already conquered that thing. And that the portal I go through is just walking by faith in it. Knowing that Jesus has already conquered. He's already won it. The other side is a benefit for me. Boy, there's some cool stuff there. I want to think about that. It says Rahab the prostitute is another example. She was shown to be right with God by her actions when she hid those messengers and sent them safely away by a different road. Just as the body is dead without breath, so also faith is dead without good works. Okay, so it's kind of cool. And I love that. Rahab, this guy's studying the Bible. James knows his Bible. He sees areas of faith. But true faith, he is defining as people who actually did something. They actually moved forward. Rahab knew that God was judging Jericho, knew that God was the true and living God. And by golly, she was going to act on it. And did she act perfectly on it? She didn't. She didn't act that perfectly. If you know the story, she definitely did some lying. But boy, she acted, and she knew that, man, I need to move forward in order to get out. I need to take a step forward in order to get to that other side, and she does. So it's another example of faith in action. What faith is. It's effectual. And notice it says, just as the body is dead without breath, right? You don't breathe? Yeah, the body doesn't go. So you need the oxygen, right? You need oxygen in order for your body to be able to live. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And it says, so also faith is dead without good works. So they go hand in hand. If something is alive, oxygen is there. But you can't say something is alive if the oxygen isn't present. No, it's dead. There's no oxygen. And so it says that's how faith is, man. True faith, effectual faith, is faith that has oxygen to it. You know, it's gotta work. You know, it's got something that is truly gives breath to where it moves us to start thinking way different than the way we used to think. And so everything becomes almost like a little bit backwards, you know. So sometimes when you have a born-again experience, everything starts shifting and kind of turning a different way. It's like almost like the paradigm shift, right? You're like, whoa, everything. You know, people you once thought you're supposed to hate or use or this kind of thing, you're learning how to love them. You're learning how to care for them. Instead of living the life to gain more for yourself, you're learning how to give more, right? I mean, not just of your excess, not just of things that didn't cost you anything, but things that costed you everything. Everything. Wow. You know, will you show people that you love them by giving everything? Man, a person who doesn't even like you, will you give them everything? Whoa. Mine. You know, he became poor for us, the Bible says. The Messiah became poor for us so that we might become rich in him. Wow. Talk about what James is showing. He's given us a whole paradigm shift, right, of what real faith looks like. Man, that is radical, you know, and it's effectual. And so we really need to rethink things. You know, when I became a Christian, I remember thinking, like, why do people buy homes? Like, what's the deal? Like, do we buy homes just because? And this is when I first got saved when I was like 17. And I was thinking, like, do people just buy homes because people buy homes? Like, do people put things in retirement just to put things in retirement? Like, what is the reason that they're doing it? And it made me think about my own reasons. You know, why am I doing this? Is it just to stay with the Joneses, so to speak? Or is there a Messiah reason? Am I learning to trust the Messiah in what I'm doing? Man, that's cool. Or am I just creating more debt for people? You know, so when I die, everybody's indebted to me. Or do I put so much pressure on people that they need to, you know, pay me $1 billion, you know, at work because I have so many needs, you know, so many. You know, why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I thinking? How am I thinking? Am I using people? How am I using people? I mean, all those things start coming into your mind, and you start writing things down, and you start looking at your motivations, and you start going, whoa, you know, and we go, gosh, Lord, am I really walking by faith? Or am I not walking by much effectual faith at all? And I'm just calling it faith. And so James really challenges Israel, the 12 tribes, on really, do they have effectual faith? And boy, what a message to Israel that has been throughout the entire Bible, right? Even to our day today. Israel, do you have effectual faith in Yeshua, in your Messiah? You know, powerful, right? So, okay, we see Jesus a lot of times commending people of faith, and it's a very interesting group of people, by the way, that Jesus commends for their faith, but you always see that their faith is very effectual. They're going to Jesus. Boy, I think when we just put it simply, am I going to Jesus? So, okay, that's chapter 2. Man, does James give us some good stuff to think about in a day. Effectual faith. Do I have effectual faith in my life? So James 2 in the books. Thanks for joining me today, man. That was fun. It's always great to go through the Bible. Just simply go through the Bible. Man, we learned so much. So you guys take care, okay? Have a great day. Bye-bye.